as a soil project. And I think as you'll see, it offers a way for us to enter into the landscape as a kind of contemplative exploration and really kind of participating in nature as opposed to just observing it from the outside. And I think the results we get from this is perhaps a deeper appreciation of the forces that animate nature as opposed to just looking at it as objects. Boersma is an artist and educator based in the Netherlands. She has exhibited and conducted workshops throughout Europe as well as America and China.
Thank you very much for introducing me. It starts in nature, and I had the wonderful opportunity to be here again in your lovely nature and see all the birds and the animals and plants and trees. I was very happy to be invited in the Ninth Wave studio to work there, because then I could be in nature, in your landscape, explore, and in the solemnity, in the loneliness of the studio over there, I could work on a new body of work. And when you want to explore new ways to show your work, then you need a time and space, and I found it here. In this presentation, I take you with me how I see nature here. This month I have been here, and how I made work. I tell you about that. So you see a lot of things in what I photographed or sketched. And you see artwork in progress and when it's ready. Of course, I had some goals to do here. You have to do that because you can be distracted by all those nature and just want to wander around. And I had these goals, and you can read it. Huh? I don't need to read it. And on the last part of the presentation, we will see if I succeeded all those goals. I started immediately walking all those beautiful nature areas, like Asylum Lake, like El Sabo, and near Partridge, but also a bird feeder could attract me very beautiful, because you have these birds. You wouldn't know, we have a lot of gray and brown birds in our country. The only bird we have better than you is the kingfisher, because he's bright blue with orange, but the rest, you have such nice birds. You've seen them all, but I really enjoy it to see all those species. And when you're all alone, you can notice all the structures and farms, and then being out in nature, then the process starts of thinking about art and what's important. And look at that. What a beauty. But the female is even better with this green and orange. So then I had to start finding plants, but when I was there, as you have seen on the photographs, there was not growing much. And you can't pick up everywhere flowers, so An artist friend, Randy Walker, went in his garden and took all things out and brought it in my studio. This is Randy's garden. I use a lot of diluted paint in my work. And when I do certain combinations of paint, for example, the best example I can give are the browns and the blues. When you dilute them with water, the pigments will not stick together. They will divide, they will shift. And I really like that to see in my painting. So I know certain combinations, but I also experiment. So I have these empty yogurt boxes, and I put there different kinds of paints and water, and that's the start. So, and then you have to think about the composition. And so I had these plants and I just laid them. I thought, this is actually nice. You see how they are growing on the surface. So this was my start. And then I pour this wet paint, this diluted paint, over the plants. So it's quite messy. And because they float away, I have to put there some boxes on to press the plants in the to stay them, let them stay there. It looks funny. Look at that. It looks very strange in the studio, all those pots and pans. And then I don't let this is a movie. I don't let the plants in there. When it's almost dry, I put them off. I filmed this with one hand, that's why I have to look. But you see, they are not always beautiful prints. But because my theme is the fertile soil, whenever you see afterwards the plants are not, it's for me very important that these plants are in the first layer of the painting. And it's also a spontaneous start. It's nice to start with something what surprises you in forms. And sometimes they're just lousy prints, but then you have to make a beautiful painting out of it. You see, some prints are nice, but there's also a piece where you think, what's that? It's a little mud, but for me, it's okay. And then I started with the first layer, because, you know, this is for specialists like artists. Dark parts in a painting will make contrast. So I always start with connecting different dark parts to each other. So this is the first start, painting some dark to connect it. Then I got from another garden, Les and Linda's, I have this narcissus. And they were also printed in the painting of Randy. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to paint some extra narcissus in there because it was so yellow, I could make more brilliance out of the yellow. In the middle, that is this print, and the rest I painted. I mimic the spontaneous prints the diluted paint makes. And do you see, I made a little breakthrough on the right side. I thought it's quite obvious, let's make something, let's do something. And I always, because my theme is about the soil and how everything is connected. And so by making this breakthrough, the light can come into the soil and water. And I made some watery parts in the dark as if there are roots going down. So I really liked it. This is not the whole painting, but a part of it. And mostly I think about what kind of part this art is in the total cycle. But this was all on the surface, and I thought, it's called Randy's Garden. I'll leave it like there. So this is Randy's Garden. So in nature, meanwhile, I saw these beautiful old leaves of beach leaves. And when you go out there every day, you see every day new things. I figured maybe I could paint on the surface, above the surface and down and under, but I didn't came that far. I have to do that in the Netherlands. But it's always inspiring. So when I walk, I think, I start making paintings in my head. Structures, but you see it. This is what attracts me. This is where my inspiration comes from. This is the Asylum Lake. So this is a start without plans, but just the colors of this Asylum Lake. And I have gold here in the painting because I want to express this brilliance of the light, but also the feeding light. We need light to have growth. I did not order leaf gold. In the Netherlands, I always use leaf gold when I use it in my painting. But I thought, okay, take care of the budget. This is also Asylum Lake and El Sabo. So then one of the goals was to get in contact and to share with the artist community in Kalamazoo. So the Nightwave studio set up a time and space to have 10 artists come over and draw and paint with me. And it was not an ordinary drawing class. I really shared with them my vision, how I was drawing, and so they could learn from that part. What did I wrote? Oh yes, a lot of people draw, oh, I have to draw this nice thing, but I draw like a painter. I make values, big, dark, and light parts. So that was nice for the artists to enjoy that drawing. Ordinary material, charcoal. It's a beautiful space there in the Nightwave studio. We could work there very well. Dark and light is actually the most important value for me, also in a painting. Dark and light is actually more important than color. You wouldn't say so, but that makes where you look at it. That's where the weight is. That's where how you look in the composition with this dark part. So we explored that with a group of artists. Oh, and then very funny. They had to see moving videos to see turkey vultures and chickens, and they had to draw while it moved. And we first studied it with copies, but then on the real videos. Well, that was just fun. I really had a fun time too, because when you draw with artists, you can quickly go into your technique or your fun about it. It doesn't work or it works. Funny, huh? Yeah. And of course, we went outside. As a painter, I have worked, I think, 30 years as plein air painter, and quite expressionistic. So there was no time to paint, but we were going outside, because my vision is that you don't need to go on a search for a subject. The subject is already there, and you only need to make a beautiful drawing out of it. And we did with the group. And you have such lovely warm evenings in my country, surrounded by sea. Every day after 5 p.m. the sea wind comes in, and it's always cooling down, and here nice, it gets warmer. Beautiful. So we're not trying to draw a tree, but the feeling to lay under a tree. So then you have to draw differently. But meanwhile, a little buds came on the tree. It was first completely brown, and now slowly the flowers came up. I think this is sassafras. These things you see in the wild. Isn't it great? Look at the colors. And nice structures. It was still quite brown here when I came in April. It even snowed. But you know this, huh? This is your nature. And then, trout lilies. This is the studio in the Nightwave studio here around the corner in the Walnut Street. This is a little part. It looks small, but it's quite big. I had beautiful light from the north. The buds on the tree became bigger. People here everywhere in Kalamazoo, they always brag about, in my back garden there are always deer. But you know, when I am there are no deer. So actually, at the address of my host this morning, there were some deer. That was the first time. And tomorrow I leave this country. Isn't it great? But one day I want to now they are so nice, soft, velvety looking in this green landscape. Someday I want to paint these soft, velvety bodies. So that's how a painter looks at your nature. Bloodroot, I learned all those names. I think anise, Anomone anisea, I don't know how to say that differently. This is the book about fertile soil. And I want to tell you something about this theme, as have been painting over 30 years landscapes. And I wanted to take people with me in the landscape and show the beauty of it. And through the years, the last 7 or 8 years, I thought, yeah, nice nature, we have to take care of it. And then I wanted to show people what's in the soil, but that's quite dark there. So I thought, how can I express this nature, this seed banks, this humus, all those things what's in the soil, because we only live on a little crust of soil, but there's so many down under what this painting is upside down that you didn't notice. Look, this is one of the ways I express it. You see, this red is, we live here, but everything has this connection with under the soil. So I really like this painting, because this is where it's about. But you cannot always paint this same kind of composition. So that I thought, you know, maybe I can paint little parts from this big cycle to help people getting aware of our beautiful nature. So, but this is really the soil with the connection, but I'll show now more about my theme, how I worked with it. Oh, this is again plants. This is again from Randy's garden, and instead of, because I was just here, I did not have nice weights putting on the paint, I found some sticks and I laid them on the plants. And again, the flowers came up more and more. Do you know what the name of this plant is? Don't laugh. Dutch breeches. Strange, eh? But I showed you these ferns, what were in the wet paint laying. You see here, there's a little left over from a fern, and on the right top, you see what came out. I immediately painted some trees in there to have structure. And this, you can see, I painted these little violets in it, these wild violets, this purple, and the Dutch breeches. So I integrated what I saw down. This is a bunch of areas with color, and I thought, what will I do with that? And then I thought, there's some yellow in there. Something wrong? Oh. But it was yellow. I thought, you know, maybe I can paint the scent of sassafras or whatever, yellow. So I painted the scent. So not the tree, but how you can smell it. This is outside of the studio. And I show there some artists how I work. It's quite messy thing. You see the wet paint, and there are some plants in there. And when I paint, I start with the dark parts, and when I start, I just go with the flow. That's very easy for me to say because I'm 37-year a painter. And then I know how to make I think I know how to make a good painting. But the concept, what I want to express, comes slowly when I'm working on it. Sometimes I know before I want to do this or that, like I wanted to paint the scent of that yellow tree. But here I just let it come and work on it and see a lot. And that was possible because I had a studio space. I could be there all alone. So you just can sit and look and watch and think about it. And that's this painting. And it's called Green Farce because of this movement of the paint. It's really an upward movement, and on top is a little light, and the little light green leaves go onto that light, so I can express the need for light for the growth. What is this? Structure again. This nature is never ending, inspiring. Look at that strange painting. I had a real travel with that painting. It looks, I thought, yeah, what am I going to do with it? And suddenly I made a landscape because it's in my hand and in my head, but I didn't want to make it. So I turned it upside down and make more an abstract work. And you really can see there's a connection between what's above and below. But you have seen the photographs in Asylum Lake and Elsenbo of the structure. So I use that information. I use also a mirror. When I see in the mirror, I have twice the distance to my painting. And that's, for small studios, very good. You don't need to run outside and look on your painting. With this mirror, you have so much distance. So I paint like this, and then I look over my shoulder in the mirror how the directions are. Rembrandt already found it out. And this is the end of this painting. I made more delicate lines in it. I really like it. So, not only, I think I make every day 100 or 150 photographs. And then I make some sketches. And then I have to start again new work. It's a never-ending story. It's getting there, this painting. And this is how it looked like on the end. I made a little path in there, but you see, you don't need to paint everything. And when you paint more abstract, the people who look at it can make their own story. And it can be different than my story, but my story is that there's a path and that you like to be there. But it can be different for you. It became summer slowly, first spring. Look at that. New work. You see on the left side, on the right side, the leaves, and on the left side, the prints. They're not always perfect, but that's not interesting for me. I just work with it. And when stick a little bit of this plant in the painting, with a palette knife I get it off. And then I start on this painting with dark parts to connect it. And then I saw in dogwood buds on the tree, and you see this blue, that's my hand. I just look with where I could put it as a composition. I just took the plant, could it be here or there? And this is the ready-made painting. And you see on the left underside, there are still some prints and there, but the rest I just cover it. And then I had burlap and I made reflections. Our piece is so big, and it was very nice how this burlap absorbed all the paint. It really attracts me. Maybe you can discover water, maybe you can discover a landscape, but you also can reflect to yourself. But for me, it was nice to put that light in there. I really like these abstract pieces. Meanwhile, plants grow bigger, Meanwhile, my studio is more filled with stuff. And the trilliums. So I had to paint them because only I see trilliums here. And you see here it's diluted paint and I have some white areas. I thought that's nice as trilliums, but after 2 weeks I thought no, I have to add more form. And I really like it this way. Of course I could paint every trillium on the figurate way, but when someone likes that, then they can better make their own photographs. For me, the nice open structure with all the leaves what trillium have, I can express on this way very good. And this is another trillium painting. That's that brown on the back, that's the look and feel of the rolling hills here. I really like it. And all the walks we made at Calhaven Trail with the sides there, it's beautiful. And they are open now. And this is again about ferns. On the right side you see the print, and I thought suddenly I put a nest in there. This is also about ferns. Do you see the turkeys on the left painting? There are 3 turkeys. On the right side 2 deer. The art hub, we had a lot of visitors, and Ninth Wave Studio could show and show the paintings what I made and the work in progress, and it was very nice to share with people what my impressions of Michigan were. I have not different clothes, this is the only thing I have. Of course, we made beautiful trips. This is exciting, your sweet water. In our country, there never grow trees on salt water near the sea, and it always is a scent of salt. It's so nice to be here. And of course, I saw the connection of up on the soil and under the soil. That's nice blue, huh? On the water and under the water. Or experimenting with it. All the water lilies you see now. And I went to Indiana to see all those Amish and see all the horses and beautiful farms, and I really loved it. I'm a farmer's daughter, and that never goes away. You need to see it. You need to go there and see how they do that. And I had a beautiful exchange with artists here to go painting outside, just sketching. With Jean and Randy. The Kleinstück, you know that. And again, a few times a week going to the Calhaven Trail. Maybe boring for you, but I see every day something new. And look, now you can see how I use this inspiration for a painting like this. I'm very glad with this painting. It's so super and expresses everything I want it to be. Phloxes, wild phloxes, isn't that a beauty? An eastern auburn, it smells good. This is the scent of eastern auburn. And I shared 3 printmaking workshops with colleagues. Express. They had to work hard, you can see that. So it's really a journey in nature and with my art. Jack in the Pulpit. And then I got new plans people brought at the studio. Can you do something with this or that? This is experimenting. You know him, huh? Mayapple. I started with brown in nature and now everything is fully green. False salmon seal. Just an ordinary piece of woodland and I love it. And at this moment all the works are exhibited in this very old house in the Walnut Street, in the Mary Louisa Haynes house, where the Ninth Wave studio is. So you recognize these pieces, but look how beautiful they are in this old house. That's the scent of this yellow tree. I show you a whole exhibition now, huh? Oh, we have to read it closely. Thank you, all artists. Thank you, Michigan, for having me and showing me all the beauty of nature. Then people say, did you have seen that? Do you know a nice trail there? So, I had time for myself and really could go into art here because I had a beautiful space and nice hosts without distraction. Yes, I enjoyed the beauty of nature. I experimented. One of the experiments is this one. I really love it. They are my key pieces. So that means you can go on with what you found out. I shared with other artists what I really liked, and Ninth Wave Studio knows all those artists, so they brought me in contact with them. And I explored. I'm not there yet, but I found out which part art has in my life for the next year, because I'm crazy busy with other work too. So, but you have to make choices, and I could reflect on that while I was working here. So I think done. So I had been here a very nice long time. And you have seen with me what kind of a processes I had here. This was, I think, the last. Oh no, look at that. And this was it, and maybe you have now some questions. I'm there. I think you will have some questions. Yes.
I love the painting to your right, especially as I reflect on, I think, some of the botanical theories which include how plants actually are communicating with each other in
Yes.
family groups and protecting and sharing information as well as nutrients. And it's all under our feet. And I can almost feel that communication in the underground portion of that, of your painting.
I repeat it, it was not a question but a something about this painting. You know, this latest scientific knowledge is that the plants have very wide connections through molds, through lichen, through roots or whatever, and this visitor thinks that it's reflecting all of that in this painting. Thank you. A nice compliment. Are there more questions? Yes, Pam.
I'd like to know if you can stay another month. And if not, when are you coming back?
Oh, Pam asked when I could come back or if I could stay longer. I cannot stay longer now, but I really, tomorrow my plane leaves, but I really want to come back again. Thank you.
And we are also honored to have Randy's garden in our home.
Because that's Randy's wife. Randy and Randy's wife, they have bought that painting. Yes, they had to, as you know, they had to. Thank you. Are there more questions?
Is your work staying here, or are you eventually going to ask for it back into Netherlands?
I exported 3 pieces, and this work, what you've seen, is all in the, except for Randy's garden, it's all in the Ninth Wave studio in the Walnut Street. And after it has been exhibited here, maybe it goes to Petter Gallery in Saugatuck. And when they get bored of it, they will ship it back. Then we'll see. Are there more questions?
What are the hours that we can access?
I can't, I don't hear you.
What are the hours that we can access Ninth Wave Studio the next 2 days? Because it sounds as if it's going to vanish after Friday.
From, what are the openings hours of the Ninth Wave studio? From 2 till 5.
Every day.
Today and Thursday.
No, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It's around the corner here. You had another question.
What kind of work do you do in the Netherlands? Same thing?
I'm a painter and a drawer, but I'm the director of an art institute. But when I'm at home, they always ask me something, and there's always something I need to have time for my own, without distraction work. That's why I'm here. Without husband, just painting, drawing, enjoying nature. Are there more questions? Then thank you very much.